Hi, I'm Tim with WatchYouWant.com, and thanks for tuning in. Probably the question that we get most often here at WatchYouWant.com is, where should I start? I'm new to the luxury watch market, or I'm just beginning a collection, and I want a cornerstone to get me off on the right foot. And the answer that I always give is, without a doubt, a dive watch. Now, dive watches, you could argue, are the luxury watch market. They're fun, they're versatile. You can wear them with a business suit or a bathing suit, and they have a permanent market and collector fan base. So if for whatever reason you did want to sell, there's always someone who wants to buy that watch off of you. Now, dive watches, if we're going to say that they are the luxury watch market, you could argue that among dive watches, the quintessential one is the Rolex Submariner. Now, this watch has been around since 1954. It's evolved since then, but they got the basic right from the get-go. If you were around in 1954 and you saw this late model Submariner, through a time machine, it would be recognizable as the same watch that started it. Now, the Submariner is great because the pop culture value is second to none. It's probably the only thing that James Bond and Joe Biden could agree on. More than that, it's a watch that appeals to almost everyone, all ages, all wrist sizes. At 40 millimeters, I can wear this, He-Man can wear this. It's got a tremendous and enduring appeal. You could argue it's almost the Babe Ruth of dive watches. And for every Babe Ruth, there is a Lou Gehrig, and the Omega Seamaster is Lou. Now, the Seamaster's been around since, actually a little bit before the Sub, but it didn't reach its definitive diving form. Before that, it was just really a waterproof watch until 1957 with the debut of the Seamaster Professional, and that's what I've got right here. Now, this is a modern Seamaster Professional that preserves the look and feel of that original pioneering watch. It's got the rotating dive bezel, it's got the deep braided case, and it even has this little helium release valve, which is really only going to concern you if you're diving in a bell, but it's a great conversation piece. Now, as you can see, there are dive watches that tend to come on bracelets, and the Seamaster and the Submariner are definitely in that class. Bracelets give you durability, they preserve resale value a little better than straps because they don't wear out, but some people prefer the feel of a strap in cold weather, they prefer the flexibility of a strap, the ease of sizing it, and that's a personal decision to make. Just keep in mind when choosing a dive watch that you want to get an idea, try some watches, get a feel for straps and bracelets, and then start to make a decision. Because if you are into straps on your dive watch, this is the hookup. The Panerai PAM 351. Now, Panerai is a brand that was conceived in the crucible of combat. During the 1930s and 40s, the Italian Navy was forming prototypes of the modern combat swimmers, and they needed a versatile and rugged dive watch that could go out on missions with these men. So they commissioned the Panerai company to design one for them, and the result was a watch that actually bore a strong resemblance to this. Now, this is the 1950 case style that came about in the early NATO years. Panerai was always about a big case, about big lugs. It was always about having a large, highly visible dial. In this case, they have the sandwich, where you have the illuminated dial, and then a stencil cutout is put over that so that you see the illuminated dial shining through that top stencil. And that's really a common thread in the Panerai history. In the modern Panerai tradition, since the 1990s, the Paneristi, or the fan base that covets these things, has really brought about a great online community, a great club community, fantastic permanent market for these watches, and a strap-swapping subculture whereby aftermarket straps are frequently bought and sold to change the look of the watch. So from a combat diver to the ultimate versatile fashion statement, Panerai's watches have really done it all. And the nice thing about them is, although there are many models, they're all variations on a theme. So if you like the look of this 351, we have a world-class selection of Panerai watches here at WatchYouWant.com. They're a favorite of our CEO and founder, O.J. Watley. He has his own collection, which is fantastic, and we've always got them in stock in many varieties. So if you like what you see here and you're interested in getting into Panerai, please give us a call, because we are the source for them. But in the combat tradition, you do have one other option, which is Blancpain's 50 Fathoms. Now, the 50 Fathoms definitely came after the Panerais, even after the 1950 design that you see here. But the bottom line is that the Blancpain, more than any, even more than the Submariner, was sort of the schematic on which all subsequent dive watches were based. It had the rotating bezel, it had the automated movement, it had a shock-proof movement, it had an anti-magnetic movement, and the 2007 to present Blancpain 50 Fathoms is really designed in that tradition. If you want to say Rolex is like the Mercedes-Benz of dive watches, Blancpain's the Rolls-Royce. It's a very refined product. The case finish is unbelievable. It's mirrored. You can see your face in it. The bezel, whereas on the others, the bezel is metallic, and it's basically an anodized particle deposit. On the 50 Fathoms, it's actually a sapphire, just like the scratch-proof crystal, so it has a luster and a depth and a magnification quality that makes it gorgeous to look at. This has a long power reserve of 120 hours. You can take this off on a Wednesday, put it back on for the weekend, and it won't have missed a beat. And the strap, which is made of sailcloth and replaceable with a bracelet or leather, is just fantastic. The quality is unbelievable. The bottom of it is rubber coated. This is what you wear if you want the upscale diver. These are all working boys made good. This one's an aristocrat. So you have a lot of choices. So the bottom line is, if you're interested in getting into the dive watch market, if you're interested in getting into luxury watches, dive watches are for you. Dive watches are the way to go. So jump off the high dive, don't be afraid of the deep end, and take the plunge. When getting started in the luxury watch hobby, dive watches are your best bet, and no one does luxury dive watches like WatchYouWant.com.